that off, put that on. I didn't expect comments to come into their video. I didn't know that was weird. But Nicholas Pacioni, I don't even know if I'm saying this right. He's this cool guy. I met him online. He writes these really cool things. He published his own like collectives and stuff. But he's no matter what he says, it's like, oh wow, man, I got to think about that.
I like
kind of
those.
like gets in your face, yeah. So, anyways, we'll start this. Hey, we'll start the show. Nicholas, welcome. Whoever's here, we have the thing. We got a new format. We'll see how it works. Why I'm saying that voice, I don't know, but that's like 50% of my elder relatives.
They sound like that.
They do, I swear. I'm Jewish. I'm from New York. Yeah, I almost said I'm from New York. I'm not from New York. I'm from Chicago. I apologize to all my Chicago friends. Anyways, this is Michelle Hlywa, but we'll introduce her in a second. We're gonna start the show, ladies and gentlemen. This show is part of, and now I'm doing Christopher Walken. What the hell? So it's too much caffeine, I guess. Anyways, it's a part of the Finding Your Voice series. So Finding Your Voice in of itself is me as a talking head talking about, how you can find your passions. And my purpose in life is to help as many people as possible find what their passions are, their purpose are, and then have them live it in their life. This series is I go out and I grab people who I think are leaders and I really admire, and I bring them on the show. That's the show. I mean, it's totally selfish. Like bringing in all these people I love and that are great. Like, anyways, like Michelle, but we'll talk about that in a second. So Inside Leaders Heads is we just bring a leader on, and then we follow a path of questions that gets to their passion and purpose, how they live it in their life, any advice they have for you to do the same. But we'll get there. I don't want to, and don't be a fish trying to climb a tree. So one of my favorite quotes of all time, I always thought it was Albert Einstein, and then when I researched it for starting my company, it's not his. Nobody knows where it came from, but it's about if you expect a fish to climb a tree all its life, you oh crap. I should put the thing. But hello, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what I'm talking about. No,
it's gonna live to believe it's stupid.
You expect a fish to climb a tree. It doesn't have that ability. So it'll be disappointed all of life. You'll be disappointed. It'll never reach its full potential. So my response to that is don't be a fish climbing a tree. So anyway, that was a lot of crap for 3 minutes. Hi, Michelle. How are you? So the first thing I get to do is why I want to interview Michelle. So Michelle and I met on a webinar, and I'm not even sure who contacted who or why, but she just said some interesting things during that class. I said some interesting things in her class. And as you will see, she's very assertive. She gets into the inner head and she just grabs onto it and she just makes it happen. It's pretty awesome. So we become fast friends. We've known each other 4 months, 3 months?
Longer than that. Longer than that. I was thinking about this. Yeah, we met. That class was Kirsty Bonner, and it was towards the beginning of COVID. So it had to have been like April, May.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It seems like such a short time ago.
I know. Longest year in history, right?
But anyways, the reason I thought the audience would find a lot of value. 2, I wanted to give her a platform because she likes talking about this stuff. And she's just up to a lot of great stuff, which we'll talk about later, or she'll talk about whenever she wants. I just love her. She's great. We have similar backgrounds too, because she's an expert in lean. I'm an expert in lean. I would like to think I'm kind of a leader and that I know stuff and I go after things. And apparently I need a taller chair too. So anyway, that's why I wanted to, because Michelle's like up there and I'm, hello, how are you? Oh, very good, very good. Okay. So.
Hey, I don't feel bad about this. I spent years working with people that were like 6'3", so I'd be looking up to everybody all the time.
Well, yeah. I'm shrinking.
I'm 5'4", so I'll take the boosted height on screen.
And now I'm 5'2". What can I tell you? I know. so now we go to the part where you get to introduce yourself. So the way I cap this off, or not cap this off, the way I talk about it is I originally directed people to do it 3 to 5 sentences, but then this is like my 7th or 8th show. We're talking about this. before we went on, and nobody's done it. So I just asked, hey, you know what? We got other things to talk about. Take as long as you want, just don't take an hour. So this is Michelle Hlywa introducing Michelle Hlywa.
All right. So, hello, my name is Michelle Hlywa. I'm the founder of Slingshot Designs, and I help people connect their roots and wings. And I do that by kind of figuring out what their art and their science are, how to blend them together to live a life of purpose and passion, to live a life by design and not by default. That's what I do.
Cool. So I'm gonna actually give props away, but just let's say, in the past, you sometimes aren't very concise, and that was just like booyah.
I know,
awesome.
Right? I've been practicing. I've been practicing.
No, but I mean, not that it's a bad thing. I always like to hear you talk because you get a lot of deep thoughts, but it's like boom. All
3 to 5 sentences, man. I was a compliance manager for a while, so I take that stuff seriously.
This could be the shortest show episode ever.
Right.
All right. So we're gonna do passion and then purpose, but if you want to do them together, because some people don't separate it. And in the course of the conversation, we may broach like, what are your definitions of it? Because I'm always surprised about 3 of the shows, the leaders actually redefine them. Like, wow, that's not what I consider passion, but that's cool. You said that. So anyway, describe your passion, and then of course we'll follow purpose. If you want to do them both at the same time, that's cool.
Well, for me, my purpose is helping people find their passion. No, my purpose is helping people find their passion, right? And my passion is helping people discover their purpose. So the two definitely play off each other. But the way I define it, Mark, is what makes me get out of, like, I used to hear people talk about this all the time. Like, oh, I love getting out of bed in the morning. I wake up every day, like, super pumped. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Nobody feels that way. Right. But now I'm one of them. I'm one of those people who gets out of bed every morning, like, super pumped. Who can I help? Like, what's on my docket today? Like, who am I going to work with today? And just defining that, growing that, and tapping into it. It fuels itself.
Yeah, I mean, I call that the people pick a different age, but for me, it's 2 years old. So it's like a 2-year-old. You bounce out of bed, you go, you take a nap, eat when you want, then you go back, go, and then you hit the sack, at night, whatever your bedtime is, and then you get up, and it's all the same. Yeah, you cry when you're hurt, and you laugh, and I mean, it's just, I hope to be that way someday. So, anyways, I'll just flash this one, even though So you gave kind of a conundrum there.
I did. I put them together.
My passion is to help people find their purpose.
And value stream mapping.
My purpose is to help people. It's like, whoa. No, it works though. It works. All right. So this is actually my favorite part. So it's the origin story. So describe the event or series of events that led you to discover your passions and purpose. And guess what? You could still be in the process, but just let us know.
I'll tell you, when I was looking over the questions about have a panic attack whenever I hear this one, because my origin story is not small, right? Like, this is where you know me well enough to know this is where I'll talk. Like, so it can be one of the problems that I was facing was that I had so many problems, and I'm not a person who likes drama. I'm not a person who likes this, like, I like a simple life, and I just didn't have that as a luxury anymore. So it was a few years ago. I was at work. I had kind of, on paper, everything looked beautiful, but inside I was just miserable. Like, my life had just turned into like shards of glass, like shattered. How do I pull that together? How do I put that? And I really didn't know where to turn for help. That's what it was. It was that I didn't know how to even start making it better. And then when I had to really be honest with myself, then I started realizing that I was the perfect person to take this on. Like, I started doing that. If I'm going to switch careers, you have to go through this process of transferable skills, right? So I'm kind of looking at all these different aspects and going, you are the most, to myself, like, you are the most qualified person. I'm the subject matter expert, obviously, on my own life. And I specialize in complex problem solving and cross-functional team building. Like, I'm the person who knows how to put the team together to solve the problem. So why am I not doing it? And it really was kind of my defining moment for me, was just get up and do it. Just start. So I did.
Cool. Sorry, I know it looks like I'm distracted, but I'm actually listening. Wanted to put that tagline in there.
I
That's
see what
awesome.
you're doing.
I think but I think everybody. I don't know why. Well, maybe we'll discuss that later. But I don't know why people don't know that they're the subject matter of their own life. They're the only one that's been in their skin 24/7 since the day they were born. I mean, I don't get it. Why people don't get that.
I think we're conditioned on this one. I really do. I've had this conversation actually with my brother. Mentioned this to me. He's like, "Well, Michelle, not everybody thinks to question the expertise of experts, right? Like if you're given a diagnosis, who fights that? Who argues that and says, wait, no, I think maybe it should look like this? And I am that person. I mean, I do. I remember I guess I'm diving into my own personal background here, but I remember like little lessons that I heard from when I'm divorced, but when I was married, when we were at the church talking to the priest or the pastor, and he's like, I've never had a bride tell me exactly how things are going to go before. Like that was me. That was like, that's the kind of person that I was. And I just questioned everything. It got me into a lot of trouble in my life, but it also opens me up to other possibilities, right? It makes me question the reality. And is this the reality that I want?
That's very cool. Oh, cool. DJ's on. Or Darlene
Silver
DJ,
Fox Talks.
Yeah, she's got 3 names. And she's never told me which one she likes best, so I just go, hey, DJ Darlene Silver Fox, how are you? She's awesome. She's, other people show up too, like Denrich and Jeff, whatever, but no matter where I'm at, she finds me. And even when I don't tell anybody, I mean, in a good way, like I'll be doing something and she'll be like, way to go. I don't know. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for being there. I didn't mean to single someone out. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I think she has a show later, too. Is it later? I don't know. She'll let us know.
Let us know.
I distracted from you, and I apologize for that.
You're okay. I'm good.
Yeah, so I love that. You are the subject matter expert on your own life. That is true of every single person in the world. And then you get to choose what you want to do with that.
Yes.
That's awesome. So,
absolutely.
All right. And I might bring that up later. Here, let me take that off for now. Just wanted to show people I'm actually growing into graphics. There we go. Okay, so now.
This is a cool platform. I haven't seen it before.
Oh, yeah, I like Restream. I belong to this thing called Growth Academy.
Yep.
And, well, you know that. And a lot of these, I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4 people in the audience are from there. One I think is from a class which we will mention later that this woman has put together, and it's an awesome class. I've taken it, and I believe at least one of the audience members has taken it, but we'll talk about it later. So, wait a second. I skipped ahead. Pay no attention. I got ahead of myself. All right. So, but now people know what's going to happen later in the show. Michelle will give you advice based on her experiences. But now I'm talking about the drive. So describe how your passions and your purpose drive your thoughts and action every day. You already told us about the results, sort of like you get up excited, like you always heard about these excited people. What's with them? And now you are one of those people. So like, what are some of the things that, hey, I want to get up and I want to do it, da, da, da.
So I guess the thoughts and action, what's a quote? Can you repeat the question again? I want to make sure I get it right.
Oh, there's no right or wrong, lady.
Yes, there is. Describe, all right,
how the drive.
Passion and purpose drive your thoughts and actions every day. Well, it's kind of it's an easy one for me because my business is purpose and passion, right? But personally for me, it didn't start there. It started with trying to figure out how to get to that point of diving within and figuring out what my purpose and passion were. And the truth was in my case, and I think this is a common thread that I find, is that I had to deconstruct. I kind of use a tapestry as an example on this one. I had to deconstruct my own tapestry, figure out what the chords were, and then re-engineer it back the way that I wanted it. Right. So I actually used a lot of my influences in my life. Like I crocheted, for an example. Like I was an artist. I am an artist. So being able to draw on actual art artistic influences, and I'd sit there and crochet, and as I would do that and things would get like tangled, then I would look at that and say, well, where else do I see that in my life? Like, this is quality management too, right? So like kind of pulling the two together and go, where else do I see this problem in my life? And then it became almost fun. Once I realized that it was helpful, that and that it was cathartic, and that it was therapeutic, and that it was also fun, and I was literally redefining my own life and my own story the way that I believed it was meant to be, and less than and not so much the way that other people their opinions and whatnot really kind of turned it into, that I could really be in control of my own narrative. That was the big one for me.
So my mind goes to weird places, but have you ever
That's okay.
seen the movie What About Bob?
It's been a while, but yeah, I have.
Okay, so there's for those that don't know, Richard Dreyfuss plays a psychiatrist. Bill Murray plays this flawed person who really needs help. Like is he agoraphobic? Anyways, doesn't matter. So he really ticks off the psychiatrist, follows him on vacation, all kinds of stuff like that. But there's one point in the movie in the now you're gonna get it. Here's the link. So I was thinking that you're really good at analogies and metaphors. So you use crochet to kind of wind things together and wind things apart and just learn things about. So in that movie, the psychiatrist ties Bill Murray's character, who's Bob, to the chair, and then Bill Murray makes these weird analogies like, I get it. You want me to work through the ropes and untie the knots of my life to become a better person. So that's
I sound just like him, don't I?
Yeah, but I mean, but it seems like you were using that crochet as an analogy. By the way, just because I don't understand. What's the difference between crocheting and knitting?
One needle versus two.
Really?
Oh, there's a few differences for sure, but I can do both. I prefer crocheting over knitting, but it is honestly preference.
Okay. And that has nothing to do with anything. So this next one, and I mean, in my intro to you, one of the reasons when I discussed the reasons I want to interview you, this is one I kind of missed. But I see, like when I took the class you'll talk about later, I can mention his name, can I?
Yeah.
I just didn't want to steal your thunder. So she put together this class called the Cardinal Rules, and it's using 5 different birds for personality types, and just kind of a way of life and a way of thinking and the way you approach the world and the way you manage circumstances, etc. And I just see whenever I'm with Michelle or see people she works with, I just see like the immediate impact. It's like, wow, that person got here because they met Michelle. So that's one of the reasons. But that's what this part of the interview is all about. It's like describe how people in the world around you see like they feel like when you talk to them or you interact with them, see you live these every day in every way.
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm definitely as transparently vulnerable as I can get, right? Like, that's been probably my biggest challenge, has been learning to tell my story, having the courage to tell my story. It's not that I don't know how, it's that I did have to process it and get rid of, process my own grief. That's one of the things I cover in that workshop, is that I actually lay out, I start off by discussing our internal hierarchy, how we all have 4 quadrants of our personality. And then there's the decision maker, who is like the cardinal. That's where the cardinal rule comes from. And when I went through the actual process of, the physical process of doing this in my own life and researching this and implementing it, one of the things I did was do an awful lot of like fishbone diagrams and Ishikawa, like root cause problem solving stuff. And when I got down to, I know this is totally mean stuff, but as I got down into that like practice, like this is stuff I was comfortable doing. So now I'm just applying it to me. And then no matter what I changed the problem description to, the cardinal leg always stayed the same. So there was 3 main problems that were causing all the rest of the problems in my life, and it was a lack of connection to a higher power, tones of shame and blame in my narrative, and which was really due to the last one, which was I wasn't able to process grief. I had all this grief in my life because I have a high trauma background, and I never knew how to process that. And, process engineer, so I'm going to value stream map that and get to it as quickly as possible, right? Like
Right.
make sense out of that process and get to it. So once I started kind of finding success, it was contagious. And like as I started talking about it, like finding a platform to have that conversation was terrifying for me. Like, where do you even talk about this at? And I found a few different ones. And when I finally got the courage to speak about it publicly, I was really blown away by the response. I kind of expected a few people to be like, "Oh, that's really nice. Good for you,"
That's how
but
you.
it wasn't. It was like, "Oh my gosh, like come talk to me more. Like let me tell you about my life." And that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to hear as many stories as possible. It helped put my life into perspective. And once I could do that and see, oh, here's the success that these people are having, and here's the success that these people are looking for. How do I bridge that gap? How do I create a way for people to replicate this, like to find these experiences and these benefits for themselves? And that's really what I came down to do. So I would say as I still grow the company, I still grow the business, I still kind of perfect the model and kind of work it in more scenarios. Then I of course had this like I was a super complex person. I wanted this big, I wanted a curriculum, right? And I set off to create a curriculum. And then I found what I found to be smarter is always working smarter, not harder, right? Like I found a strategic partner who already had a curriculum, and I just started working with them. And then I just started focusing on finding other strategic partners. And then my journey, my main challenge became learning to tell my story more concisely and focused for a goal, which is not always the easiest thing. It's a lot to try to pull together.
Is
So
that the second thing, the art and science of success? Is that what you're talking about, or
no, which part on about
like
what
when
I
the
talk
last
about a lot?
partner? We'll come
Oh,
back to that later. Don't worry about it.
no, well, there
I
are.
don't want to
There's like
divert from that.
it's kind of what we cover a little bit in the workshop, in the cardinal rule workshop, when I talk
Yeah.
about, we all have 4 quadrants of our personality. And the way I built my business was the same way that I kind of structured my life, which was finding strategic partners for each one of those
Yeah.
quadrants of my personality, right?
Yeah.
So the dove in particular, which is kind of our loving, nurturing, caring, being able to find a strategic partner that took what I'm good at and applied it to something that was like in connection to my heart became like an example on that one was a company, the business called the Oxen Group. They're the ones who already had that curriculum that kind of they focused on helping people re-engage in the workforce. And that's a challenge I had gone through myself. So I was like, oh man, this is perfect. That's where I like to mentor, is the young professional demographic. So I was able to find a partner that already had what I was looking for and was motivated, looking for coaches. So I was like, this is perfect.
But you decided to, I mean, you did integrate back in the workforce several times, but you decided, for lack of a better turn of phrase, to not integrate back into the
Yes.
workforce. Be
Yes,
your
this
own,
time.
person. Okay, good.
Yeah, I know I've definitely transformed a few times in my life, but this one was by design again and not by default. Like if I'm going to do this again,
Cardinal.
I was just at this point. I'm 40 years old at the time. I've got small kids. I don't want to repeat this process over and over again. And I was furious with myself that I'm here again, trying to rebuild and start over again. And there had to be a better way, right? And it was by design, and not continuing to default by practicing things that I've already tried and didn't work the first time.
Right. So do you think, let's explore that a little. So do you think that you had to go back to try to integrate to finally get to where you are now, to learn that, hey, I don't want to integrate. I want to be my own
Yes,
person. I want to do my own business, blah, blah, blah.
I spent my whole life trying to fit in. And that had everything to do with like true origin story, like really peeling back that onion, that
Yeah.
going back to I can quite literally draw that back to first grade. And like
Wow.
I went to parochial school. My first grade nun was also my father's first grade nun. So
Wow.
yeah, so in first grade, when I was
I
asking
accepted your
questions,
father.
totally, and his sisters and my brother, right? I was the last one to go through.
That would suck.
So at that point, she gets me, and I'm a very, very curious person. I ask an awful lot of questions, and that started back then. And so in first grade, asking about other religions, how do I learn more about other religions? It didn't go over so
In
well.
parochial school.
Yeah, in parochial school. So it was innocent. I genuinely just wanted to know. I've always kind of been that person who wants to seek out more examples, more stories.
Yeah.
To really truly try to make sense of the world. And I don't know many people who don't. Just kind of get to a point, I think, where we've stopped encouraging that curiosity.
I saw had a vision. I wish you were in my first grade. I can't remember what we call it. We just call it Saturday school because a rabbi and a nun are like way different. You would ask questions, and the rabbi would just shoot questions back at you. Well, Michelle, I don't know. How would you learn about other religions?
Right. That's true. That's true. No,
awesome.
I was left-handed, so it was like a double whammy. I had everything going against me.
Yeah, I had ADD. Well, I still do, and dyslexia. And then some people say I'm on the spectrum. I don't know about that one. I don't really care. None of that matters. I love my parents so much because they didn't give me any drugs, didn't do any therapy. They just said, figure it out. It's like, yeah, people, you're different than most people. So what? Figure it out. We had to.
Yeah. Well, that's where
And
I
then now I'm like,
trace it
oh,
back.
cool.
As far as like that desire to fit in. I mean, I think when it starts, no matter where it starts or why it starts, it's not that it's all rooted in trauma. It's just all part of our story, right? Like and I think understanding that about ourselves those are just really profound moments where you go, oh, that is where it started. And where else might that have taken a role in my life? Like, where else might that have steered me? And then I think I kind of reached this point where I realized that I hadn't ever been in control of my own life. And that's, again, what happens when you live a life by default. And
Right.
I was really successful, but I wasn't happy, so really paring it back and understanding the roots of why, so that I could turn around and design a life that worked for me, where I wanted to go and what mattered most to me.
Yeah,
So
that's very cool.
Yeah.
I think I've had a weird life because until grade 6, I pretty much was my own person. But in being that and being the wild child, from 6th grade to 12th grade, I attracted attention I didn't want to attract. Not my family. My family was very supportive. But yeah, so from 6th grade to graduation of high school, totally sucked. And then it took 7 years of college and then some corporate America it's like, oh, okay, and start working my way path. And unfortunately now, I think it's taken me to now. I think I'm finally back to my first grade self. So that's cool.
Isn't it funny going backwards and it feels so good, right?
Yeah.
Like one of those pullback cars you let go.
Yeah. So then this one, I don't know why, but this gets the most interesting answers. And guess what? If you don't have an interesting answer, that's nothing against you. Just answer the question. But the first show I had, or second show, because my first show was me as a talking head, but the first show in the series started talking about the evolution of passions and purpose. And that's when the person that was on actually challenged me. He didn't challenge me, like point at me or anything, but just his definitions of passion, the difference between passion and purpose. And my head exploded. I'm like going, oh, because this originally was just about passions. And I'm like, oh my God, passions and purpose are different. So I'd like to do an inquiry just because selfish self I'd like to learn. And then I think it's also instrumental in helping the audience with stuff. So do you think passions and purpose change throughout our lives?
Yes.
Okay, I think you're done now.
You know better. No,
Can you say a
actually, we
little more about
cover
that?
this in the workshop, and I end with the Venn diagram that really kind of pulls in like passion
Uh,
is this combination of the dove and the owl, and purpose being like the combination of all, right? All of our internal hierarchy of birds.
mm,
So looking at to answer the question, yeah, throughout life, I think that if they don't change, then it's because we've failed to continue growing and we've maybe given up on that curiosity or that adventurous part of our lives. And I like to ask questions a lot, like, what are some words that other people have described you that surprised you? Like in a good way. I'm not looking
mm,
for name call, like what are some positive things? And in my life, like they stand out to me, and I started realizing that those are pointing towards those parts of me that I don't showcase, but when they come out, that they make an impact, right? Like pioneering was one of them that I was like, wow, I've never considered myself that way before, but once I saw it, I was like, well, let me explore that a little bit. And I think if we're open to
pioneer,
exploring
explore. Just saying.
what what'd you say?
Pioneering and explore. Just saying.
Yeah, right? Well, adventurous, that was another one, right? And I never considered myself any of these things.
Right.
But when I started listening to the positive ways that other people would refer to me, I was like, wait, okay, maybe there's something more to that. Like, let's dive into that. Like me, myself, I'm not going to go have them explain their compliment,
Right.
but
Right. Right.
later on, I'd like really kind of think about it and internalize it. And I think that inherent curiosity, that approach on life as an adventure, I think that that's what keeps people's passions ignited, right? I think that's what keeps them going, and I also think that that's what gets us closer to our purpose. I think the more we explore passion, we come closer to purpose, and that should be a moving target, right? That should be something that grows as we gain experience.
I'm going to talk to you after the show. And so we'll have a conversation. The only reason I say that is so you're the sixth person, and that's the sixth take on passion and purpose. And they're all slightly different. And I'm trying
It
to get
should
my
be a
handle.
personal
Yeah,
relationship,
I guess
right?
so. But I'm trying to get my handle on it. So no, that was really good. By the way, I mean the pioneer exploring. I mean, to me, definition of a pioneer is someone who explores. So that's why I said someone called you pioneering, and then your immediate response is, "I will have to explore." It's like, yeah, you just
It's true.
define your pioneer right there. That's why I was saying
Yeah.
that.
Well, we do. I think that like going back to what we were talking about earlier, when you have this desire to fit in, then we
Yeah,
don't celebrate what makes us unique or what makes us different. It's kind of like, no, I don't want to hear that because I just want to fit in, you
right.
know?
Yeah, totally. What am I? LA Valley girl? Totally. So,
Totally.
so now, I mean, this is just a big thing for me is just being present about not this is about me, but just as an example. So about a month and a half ago, I woke up and I swear to God, I thought it was Wednesday. And so I was doing my 90-day challenge and I put the day of the week in there, which I said was Wednesday. It was Tuesday.
It was
And
Tuesday.
so the post became about being present. So not only is there the president, but it's being present. So in this present moment, right now, right here, what are you most passionate about right now in your life, and how does this feed your purpose? And I know your passion and purpose kind of conundrum. It's like, hey, help people find their passion for finding their purpose, and help my purpose is finding their passion. That's cool. That
Makes
works
it easy.
together. But what right now? I mean, I think I have an idea, but you tell us.
What I'm most passionate about right now,
Like right now.
right this second.
Well, I mean, it could be
Well,
like today, this week, whatever. It doesn't
no,
have to be.
I'll answer for right this second too.
Okay.
Well, because this is on my bucket list. Like,
What is it?
so this being having this conversation and this topic in this kind of environment is on my bucket list. So I'm passionate about. It's funny. I had this whole conversation with myself earlier about being present for this interview, like for this conversation. Like
Cool.
prepare for it, make sure you're sharp, but also just do it. Right?
Yeah.
Like just be you and talk the way that I would normally. Why I was so excited it was you is because you and I have these conversations offline anyway. right? So it's not any different than just having one of our amped up conversations, right?
We
So
just invited others to come see.
exactly. Now we're just like put it out there for, but that's awesome. It's not like we're not practiced in doing it. So it was pretty cool. But as far as like kind of bigger picture outside of just this moment in time, I don't know. I'm excited because my plan worked. It's working. I'm watching it work every day, and I'm still kind of mystified by that, even though it was intentional, right? And I put in the effort, and I did all the things, and I did that, and I did this, but it still worked, right? It's still something like the first time you've ever tried anything, and I spent a lot of time comparing it to gymnastics, like watching my kids try to learn how to do cartwheels, and it's like the first time they look like little flopping fish, right? But after practice, they get out there, and all of a sudden they're nailing front handsprings, and I'm like, wow. And they're watching as they turn around and they see these other little toddlers looking at them like with starry eyes, like, wow, I can't wait to be able to do that. And it's so cool because it's like I didn't expect to make it in the beginning, and I knew I had what it took, but seeing the plan come together, the way that I designed it, and now being in this position where I'm like, well, what do I want to work on next? Right? Like what's up next? Like, now I've got this workshop coming up. It'll be the cardinal rule coming up will be like the 5th workshop. And then on top of that, I'm co-creating with a really, really good friend of mine who's been a part of my journey for a couple years now. And co-creating this workshop that we'll talk about, and it's not a workshop, it's a program, but we'll talk about in a minute. And then I just see like all the strategic partnerships that I was like, oh, I think this would be a good match. I think this would be a good match for this part of my life. And seeing them all come together and take flight is got to be the most incredible feeling. It really, it is. It's like, wow, I actually made that happen, and then I get to teach other people how to do the same thing too. Like, that's pretty cool. Are you still there? Am I still here? You're frozen. Or am I frozen? I guess I'm going to take over Mark's show because I don't know if I'm frozen or he is. Oh, no, he's off. All right. I guess I'll take live questions if anybody wants to ask any questions till Mark gets back. Oh, that's wild. I wonder what I should do at this time now. So see if he's going to, I guess I should probably also open up some communication and see if I don't hear from him in a sec, if he doesn't log in. What do I talk about in this time? He looks like he's gone. He's not on my screen anymore at all. So I think he might have gotten kicked off. Am I still frozen or can you guys hear me? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to keep going. Thank you, Silver Fox Talks. I appreciate that. I'll even bring over my little mic that's not even plugged in and it look like I know what I'm doing here. So anyway, what do I do? I think what his next question was to talk about what I have coming up. I guess I'll talk about that because I may as well practice. Oh, he's back. I was going to take over your show.
That's a bummer. Hey, we swapped. Look at that. So anyways,
yeah, we're on opposite sides.
That sucked.
Yeah, it's fine.
This will become in 2 parts.
So I told all kinds of stories about you while you were gone.
Huh?
I told all kinds of stories about you while you were gone.
Did you really? I wonder.
No.
I wonder if you're the guest and you keep connecting and restream goes down, they still see it. Let me ask that question.
What?
Did you?
Yeah, they still saw it.
Did you still see?
Yeah.
Michelle when I was gone.
Yep. Silver Fox Talk said, "Keep going, girl," and I was like,
"Oh, really?
I'm gonna keep going."
That's a bummer. It didn't record though.
That's bummer. That's all right.
But I'll start recording again.
I didn't say anything groundbreaking.
Rejoin our heroes, and now Michelle's going to ask me questions. No.
You switching spots.
We're all right. Do you mind repeating?
Oh wait, what's the question again?
Was this the question we're working on? Here, let me take off.
Yeah. What am I passionate about right now in my life, and how does
this when we went off? We're getting into. You're talking about the 5th.
The fifth cardinal rule workshop coming up next month.
Success, I think.
Yes, and now, that's what I was saying is that we're going to talk about. I think that comes up here in a minute. We're going to talk about the art and science of success in 2021 that I'm co-creating with my girlfriend Wendy. But what I was talking about, aside from those two projects that I have, is just the partnerships that I designed them to work this way. I designed I want to, my kind of the eagle side of me is this visionary, this kind of large purpose person. And I have this really big idea of impact I want to make in the planet, right? And in society as a whole. So finding a partner to do that was not a small feat. And then I find myself in the Women in Lean tribe and in a position to be able to help them edit and publish a magazine, and all these different options and opportunities that are available in a tribe that's that global and innovative has just been, it's been wild. I mean, I look at my days and I look at my calendars, and they used to be filled up with the typical scraps that you get when you're trying to start your own business for the first time, right? Yeah. I set an appointment just because I could get someone to say yes. Right? Oh my, it's totally a sales pitch. I don't care. I'm going to have it anyway. Right? And now I look at my calendar and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I met with this guy in Australia today that's talking about how he wants to collaborate on video production. And I'm like, this is so cool. I look at my, a time hop of what life looked like 2 years ago. And I'm like, wow, how I know the answer of how this happened. It's just still kind of hard to grasp sometimes that it did,
Yeah, you're, so I don't know if he's still on, but Jeff Clark was on earlier, and I always jokingly say, he's my North Star, because he's writing a book and he's going to publish it, and he always seemed to be 2 or 3 steps ahead of me. But he's always willing to give me advice and stuff. And then Den Rich is a good friend of mine from Canada. He's watching too. But yeah, he just told me that so when I was off, but you were on. So I apologize for making Michelle repeat herself, but the host, which was me, my internet just went kaboom, and then it took me a few minutes to get on when she was talking, and I apologize for making her talk again.
It's okay. But I felt like I was back in my bartending days. I could keep it.
But what I'll do is I'll edit the shows together, and so no one will know. Well, except the prickle her hair. I think I could do that. We'll see. Technology. All right. That really threw me for a loop, though. I'm like, dang, Michelle, are you still there? You should hear me crying. I can't believe my internet.
I'm surprised I was still live.
No, I'm glad.
After you were off, I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Now we know.
Now we know.
Yeah.
Growth.
I'll invite on 3 guests so that if, 3 of us happen to go out, one person just keeps going until I can get back.
Yeah, next time I'll come up with a game. Something fun to play.
Whack-a-mole. Which contestant's going to leave and come back? All right.
Nice.
Silly.
Okay. Right. What do we got next? What's up?
So, I mean, the reason I do these shows is just, I believe one of the best ways to succeed is finding people that have gone before and learning from them. Mm-hmm. And then the beauty of that is it requires, and I'm always amazed at how many people that are successful are willing to reach back. So, so it's the person looking ahead and going, hey, Michelle's done these things, I've done these things. I'm going to reach out to her and see if she can help me. And then people like yourself, who you're one of the most generous souls I know on the face of the planet, you're willing to do time. I mean, obviously we're going to monetize and you get stuff back. I'm just rambling, but you're willing to reach back too. I mean, you've helped me immensely. But so the whole question is, so what advice or suggestions you have, and they could be many, they could be one punch in your face one or whatever, for our audience about finding and living their purpose and being driven by their passions.
Advice. I could go on and on and on advice on this. It's a typical conversation with me, isn't it? Right? I say start small, right? It didn't start with one big, huge leap. there were a number of different times that you had to make the jump, or I had to make the jump, but it really started with those small incremental changes. And I remember the first time I made any intentional change like that, and it was to switch up who I followed in my feed. But it was social media. It was I'm so done listening to the sky is falling everywhere I turn. It felt like chaos breeds chaos, right? Like I needed to have this. And what I did was just switch over the power of positivity to my that like curated my feed to where I had positive messages, positive vibes, strategic thoughts, like and really start following thought leaders. And then switching over in same thing in when I switched over to kind of ditched Facebook and went over to LinkedIn, because that's where my people speak, right? Like I'm very lean and strategic in my thoughts. So finding other people on there and connecting with them, that was huge. So that really became how to build the tribe. And I started meeting and connecting with more people that were like that and not being afraid to ask questions. I remember like we have this beauty to LinkedIn that we've never had before in my lifetime or in any other, right? We can connect with anybody on the planet just by sending a request or sending a message or asking the right question. And the to not maximize that potential is a waste. And that's such a key way of moving forward and getting to places that are otherwise off limits to us. And so I think for our generation, kind of throwing myself in the same generational bucket as you, Mark, but
You're way younger.
well, but even people younger than me, right? Like when we're raised without, if you were raised without technology, and then I think that was the first question, wasn't it? Like if you're raised without technology and then had to kind of introduce yourself to technology at some point in your life, then taking advantage of that and essentially learning how to surf the wave, right? That's really what it came down to, is how I don't have to know everything about everything, but to be able to spark a conversation and hold my own, that was a big part of it. Advice: focus on what you can control. That's massive. There's any time that I'm focused on something that I have no control over is a waste, as in Tim Wood's like lean manufacturing style waste definition of waste is I'm waiting, or I'm whatever it might be. I'm overproducing thought, or, however many parallels you want to draw into the lean world, but it is a form of waste to be focused on something that you have no control and potential to impact. So really strategizing where I spent my time, because that is the only thing that it's finite, but it's equal. We all have the same amount of time, right? So where I spent my energy and my thoughts and my focus became the most important and highest priority for me to get right. So that dare to dream, that's another big one.
Oh yeah. Dreaming.
Yep.
As Blondie says, dreaming is free. Okay, I'm not gonna sing, but
that's okay. You got another song on Dream, I'm sure of it.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's tons of songs on Dream. Oh, but I mean, my favorite is Aerosmith, Dream On. But
I do like Aerosmith. I've never seen them in concert. That's one of my big regrets. I think I had a summer of 56 concerts in one summer, and
really?
yes, I did. It was part of my job, and
That's
I was
my
friends
dream.
with the local sheriff who did he helped with parking and stuff at the venue here in Michigan, the big one. And so between my work hookups and his work hookups, we didn't pay for concerts like that whole summer, and we went to 56 concerts in one summer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a dream of mine.
I know, yeah, right?
I got the luck of seeing lots of people, like Front Row Center, Led Zeppelin.
Oh, nice.
The Who, Quadrophenia. Yeah, just a lot. But I saw Aerosmith at Alpine Valley. It's this really cool venue in Wisconsin. It's people on the West Coast, it's a ski resort, but it's a hill. Okay, but anyways, it's an open air thing. It's really cool. Yeah, I saw them, and guess who opened for them?
Who?
AC/DC, right before the release of their Back in Black album.
Nice. I saw AC/DC with, maybe it was To be honest, I was really drunk. Because they were probably
Oh
the first
well.
one. No, I was there to see Poison. They were the opening act. I've seen
Yeah.
Poison. Oh my God, I've seen Poison like 22 times or something ridiculously embarrassing like that. But I was a huge Poison fan. So I saw Poison, and I think it might have been Kiss. I might be wrong. But honest to God, by that point, I don't remember much of the concert. So I had to walk out. But that was many years ago. What's the most recent concert you saw?
What is the most recent? I go see Cheap Trick a lot because they're my favorite group, but they're kind of getting old. I think it might have been Tegan and Sarah, actually. I
Oh,
love Tegan and Sarah.
mine was Train. I saw Train last year.
Oh, I like Train too. Train
Yeah.
Train has a weird relationship with Chicago. Like for about 5 years running, they always played Chicago on New Year's Eve, and I never got that because they're a San Francisco band. So I don't know, but it's kind of cool. I like them.
Yeah, I do
Anyway,
too.
we digress with 80s,
That's okay.
90s, and 2000 rock and roll, but that's okay. Music is my life.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
my passion statement is music.
I'm
Plus,
tapping into your passion. This is what we
yeah, yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. I mean, music plus tech plus writing equals passion and fun in my life.
Yes. So,
So,
but onto your question, as far like back to your question and how that ties in, is that's a big one too, is music. Like what lyrics resonated or whatever it might be, like what instrument resonates with you and why, like kind of exploring the whys of where you find your passion, find you spending your time. Why do you spend your time there? And asking that question not 5 times because we're not in lean right now, but and I've never liked the 5 whys, by the way. But asking
well,
that
it's good
question
if
and
you
really getting into
understand
it.
it, but most people are pedantic about it and go, I will ask why 5 times. It's like, no, there's a lot more to it. It is simple, but it's not that simple.
It's not that simple. It's
You have to
not that
define the
simple.
problem well, first of all. Then, did you know at
Yes.
each layer of why you could branch off to other causes? And then you follow all those down and you keep going until it's
And then you
root
have to
cause,
read it
not five.
backwards.
It could be three. It could be seven. It could be nine. You just keep going. Anyway, sorry.
No,
One of my
I'm
pet
right there with
peeves.
you. I'm right there. Mine too. Mine too. I'm not a big fan of 5 whys. But anyway, to get to that, like I just following people's influences. Like why do they connect to them? Why do they resonate with them? And what does that say? And and without overthinking it, just enjoying the process of discovery,
Right.
self-discovery.
Yeah, I mean, like one of my favorite groups is the Kinks. People go, of all the people in the British invasion, why do you like the Kinks? Well, Ray and Dave Davies are brothers, so family's big for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ray writes about observing life. He's kind of quirky. He's in my mind, one of the best songwriters. Put him up there with Bob Dylan and the other guys. But yeah, he just reflects on life, and he seems like a down to earth guy. And I don't know. So I
Yeah.
really resonate with him. I resonate with others too, but they were always my favorite group. So,
Mine
and
was
once again,
Imagine Dragons. That was the one
oh, I
during
love
this
too, but
whole
they're
phase
new.
of my life was Imagine Dragons.
Oh,
Like when I
really?
was going through this whole like deconstruction and reconstruction, man, I can't tell you how many lyrics I would just on repeat. Oh, and Billy Joel, We Didn't Start the Fire. That was a big one too.
That's
To
a good one.
understand all the people's stories, like those are I found a lot of logic, a lot of sense, a lot of perspective in lyrics. It's artists that are expressing their own journey, right?
Yeah,
So you can most
the
definitely
best ones
find
too. Yeah,
wisdom in them. Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
So just because we are on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, but it's a LinkedIn event, but you can watch it
Mhm.
anywhere. When you were talking about maximizing time, maximizing your focus, is there any? And then you said you pick LinkedIn because that's where your peeps are.
Yep.
Is there any 1, 2, 3 pieces of advice on how to use LinkedIn best?
Oh, yeah. This is actually part of both the workshop and the project I have coming up, the course that we have coming up. Where we talk about this, and it's interconnecting tribes, right? So I don't think you need to understand like the logistics and the semantics of the algorithms and how they work, and to really just say if to influence, right? To talk to connect people, like you don't even have to have such incredible content as much as the ability to say this person should know this person and connect them. So my strategic partner for my Peacock is SiriusNet Connections, and it's a referral team. And so it's where I go here locally, regionally to talk about my business, right? So when I go and I go online on that now, on LinkedIn, and then be able to connect those people to other strategic partners in my life, right? So bringing, hey, if I know some people in SiriusNet that are phenomenal coaches, then I bring them in and I introduce them to the Oxen Group, which is completely different geographic area. And when that starts happening and I start seeing, like, the algorithm picks up on this stuff, right? It's interconnectivity, and then it starts just kind of increasing your exposure, right? And the more that we talked about this a little bit during the workshop, the more that you can increase your exposure and then create content and messages that apply to all of them. You don't have to be great at all this stuff. You can learn by, trial and error like everybody else, right? It's certainly like me. I miss the ball half the time, but it doesn't matter. I'm still up there shooting, right? It's just a matter of don't give up. And keep kind of speaking your truth and speaking what matters to you, and when you talk about what lights you up, people notice, in a good way, usually. So, but then my specialty was cross-functional team building. So pulling in this person from this team, and then connecting them, because I know that they have a want and a need for each other. And SiriusNet is big on give to get, and that give to get mentality towards growing your business. And it's not, I don't meet people and think like, how can I make this person a client? Like, that's not in my thought process. When I meet someone, I meet somebody and go, what do you need? What can I do for you? How can I help? How can we get to know each other better? And what I love is figuring out what people actually want and need when they don't talk about it, when they're not telling you, just by picking up on those words, like, oh, there's some pain there, or on the flip side, man, you're really methodical of a person. Like, do you, just tapping in on things that people don't always necessarily see about themselves, and I don't just offer random compliments, right? It's truly this. You've said this to me before. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it, right? Like, this is, I see you do this, and this is why I think it's great, and just celebrating what makes other people amazing. That's what I do when I meet anybody, whether they end up being a client or whether they end up being just a referral partner or whatever it might be,
Yeah. I mean, I always found that weird too. There's some people in GA, like, if I admire you or you're doing something awesome, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
But some people get weirded out. Like,
right.
What do you want? I go, I don't want anything. I just think you're doing a good job, and I thought I'd tell you.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We get
defensive. Don't want nothing.
Yeah, I was guilty of that at a certain point in my life too, for sure. Like, if you're coming out to me, there's going to be a reason, like, are you hitting on me? Do you want something from me? Are you trying to sell me something? Like, there's got to be some reason other than just that where our paths crossed. Right. And the better and more practiced I got at this art of connecting, the more I started realizing that I started believing that people truly come into each other's lives for a purpose. And then it became the challenge of figuring out, let's explore why, like, what is it that you have that I need? And what is it that I have that you need? And, how do we, you and I are a great example of that, it's kind of grow through life.
My sister for life.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I apologize for that, but
no, you don't have to apologize for that.
I'm in your life forever now.
Yes. Forever friends. Oh my gosh, can we have BFF necklaces?
There you go. Okay, cool. So we're about to go to shameless self-promotion. I do show one slide before we get there. But is there anything with regard to this subject that you want to end with, or I wish I emphasized this? Passion and purpose and living it in your life. You think you hit it? Yeah, I think you have.
Yeah, I think so.
I just give you an opportunity. All right. So I like to say this because this is kind of what we've been talking about, for for everybody out there, including us, the one and only unique, authentic you, that is your genius, and that is your superpower. And by the way, if none of you have seen America Ferrara's TEDx thing on this subject, it's one of the best TEDx speeches I have ever seen.
Really?
I don't know if it's because I'm an actor and I identify with some of the things she said, but I was just like, I mean, I like Superstore. I like the traveling pants thing, and I liked Ugly Betty, but that's not why it resonated with me. She just talked about, how Hollywood's pretty superficial. I know. Sorry to tell the secret, but they come in there, and if there's any casting directors out there, I apologize. But when I acted for 20 years, and the most I made in a year was like $36,000, I guess. I was on a bunch of shows. I was on, well, we're not going to go there. This isn't my show. But regardless, I like to act. And she resonated with me. And she was talking about, she was explaining how she went, in the beginning, she went to the casting director, and they'd say things like, if you ever see Mrs. Doubtfire, it's the same thing. You're too fat. You're too short. You're too Latino. You're too this. You're too big. You're too much curvy. Blah, blah, all these things that they didn't want. And then she just brings you on this journey and then punches you in the face and basically tells all these things that she was criticized before. And she goes, guess what? That's not my weakness. That's my superpower.
Right.
And you're just like, wow.
I could totally
expect to have a life lesson from American Ferrara.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. So check it out on FedEx. I'm not on FedEx. Yeah, check it out on FedEx. We get it there overnight. FedEx. American Ferrara. Okay. So, I know. It's like, yep. So now, is this the one? Yes. So shameless self-promotion. I have the things for Slingshot. I have the Cardinal Rule. I have the Art and Success thing. Tell me which ones you want to bring up, and then I get to, then I'll bring up shameless self-promotion, which mine's kind of boring. It's promoting the show. But so this is your time to just, what are you up to? What do you want to talk about? What things you want me to bring up?
Okay, so the Cardinal Rule we've talked about like throughout this, right? And I kind of fed in. That's who I am and what I do anyway. So that really is, that's how I approach everything from business to life and interpersonal relationships, so on and so forth. So the Cardinal Rule is like the elementary intro version of, let's just kind of identify and introduce you to yourself, like your own internal hierarchy, right? And then build that from there. I think when I did the first workshop, it was kind of feed from a fire hose. I had to learn how to drill that back a little bit. So it's pretty cool.
You were great though. I was there.
What?
Is that the one I was in?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Oh, yeah, you had a lean background, so it made a little bit more sense to you for people who had no exposure. They're like, whoa.
I'm going to put up a URL when you're talking. What? I don't have any. What do you want me to put
for what? For the Cardinal Rule?
For anything.
Oh, well, my website. LinkedIn. Let's just go with LinkedIn. Yeah. All my stuff is there. And connections to everything is kind of the hub, right?
And if you're just Michelle Hlywa? Mm-hmm. Is there a dash or?
No, my LinkedIn profile is linkedin.com/in/slingshot designs.
Oh, okay. And I'll probably get it wrong because I always add an extra S somewhere.
That's okay.
Is this right? Let's see. Is that correct?
Nope.
No? What did I get wrong?
No, it's Slingshot Design. Whoa. Oh no, you went away. That was the wrong button. It is Slingshot Designs plural with an S at the end.
Oh, so I just forget it. See, that's weird. I usually add an extra S.
Yep.
Life is weird. So is Mark. All right, how about that? I forgot the N.
LinkedIn.com. Oh, the in, the /in/slingshot designs.
Right. You talking, I'll fix this. I'm sorry.
You're okay. So, so that's the card. So I'll do another Cardinal Rule workshop in February. I haven't set the date for that specifically, but when I do, I'll post it on LinkedIn for sure.
Okay.
So that, and then the really big one that I'm super pumped about that I've been working on with Wendy is the Art and Science of Success in 2021. I'm super pumped about this because Wendy could not be more different than me. And the two of us have really grown together in life for the last 4 years. And she's given me a lot of the answers that I needed for both personally and for my business. And on the flip side, we challenge each other in a healthy, positive way. Like we encourage each other, and neither of us are afraid to kind of face fears and more so obliterate fears. So we really talked about how do we blend this together. We have a lot of the same kind of enthusiasm and power, and in like our energy is very complementary to each other. So we're like, how do we blend our art and sciences together? I spent 25 years kicking salespeople out of my office, so I knew a little bit about how to be a guard dog, right? How I wanted to kind of start talking about what would work on me. Like if you're looking to bridge a network or to build a network that includes, a corporate touch and that sort of thing, then how do you blend those two to be able to like connect at this more higher level, right? And find more impact. And I think a lot of times we go for a hunting approach, and that's what I was so adverse to when I was in behind the desk. And I won't try that when I left the desk, right? And I went out to kind of start my own business. So it was, instead of a hunter approach, then what about farming and fishing techniques and foraging techniques? And really, truly, we start talking about the art and science of the ecosystem of networking and team building. So it's pretty cool. It's been a ton of fun to co-create it with her. And as we kind of see how this is working in all of these different industries, then pulling it together and making it cohesive, we're at that point now, right? So we've got that premieres on February 2nd on Groundhog's Day, which is perfect because it is, stop doing the same thing over and over again, especially in this year, this climate. It's not the same as it ever was before, and the same tactics aren't going to work. Like I've never seen a time where we're more sales adverse. So
that's true.
Yeah, that's my shameless plug. Was it shameless enough?
Yeah, I was trying to.
Nice.
Oh, there we go. And this is the company that started it all.
Yes. Strategic professional development. And it is true that that it came by that, honestly. That logo is the slingshot.
Yeah, let's look at it again.
Is quite literally my favorite problem-solving tool. So I would perfect my trajectory and my aim. That's how I would practice that, was with a slingshot and a bunch of acorns in a lake, right? And that's how I would practice aim and really
like
get
when you were a kid, or?
No, when honestly yes, when I was a kid, but also when I was a couple years ago, and when everything like didn't make sense and I was trying to figure out how to move forward, that's what I did. I was like, okay, complex problem solving, and I would take my slingshot to the lake and shoot acorns across the lake while I tried to work out all my problems and really perfect the trajectory. That's where the name of the business came from.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of I put shameless up there for fun. Yeah, that wasn't shameless. So go check it. And all those things, like the Eventbrite, all the connections will be at Slingshot Designs on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, go check out all the stuff. And I took the cardinal rules, and I probably shouldn't say this in front of the teacher, but I still got some work to do.
You already told me that. Yeah, you mentioned it before.
Yeah, she gave us
an
assignment.
You've been a very busy person, though, Mark. Come on.
Well, right now, hopefully I won't be soon, but yeah, we'll see. So, yeah, I'm trying to write my book, which brings me to my shameless plug. So I have two, count them two, and dumbly enough, I didn't load the things here, so I'm just going to talk them. Tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, I'm doing a new series called Spontaneous Combustion Tour. It's episode 1. It's going to be with Hamad Siddiqui and Martin Pratt, and we're going to talk about how to get published. Nice. And we're not really going to do it in an organized fashion. It's just going to be fun and a bunch of guys. Me trying to get my book out there, writing a book. Martin, his family, he comes from publishing in a bookstore. And Hamad Siddiqui, I believe, I should have checked his facts, but this might be fake news. No. So I checked this back. I think he's written and published 5 books, I want to say, but I'm not sure about that. It could be 3, 4, 5. I'm not sure. Anyway, it'll be a lot of fun. And then Saturday will be the next episode of this show. It'll be Net Edwards. She's this. Do you know Net?
No.
Okay, so she created this Facebook group called Corona Days Professional Development. And it's just a large group, and she puts on things and she introduces people. I was on that show, and then I invite her on. She's an awesome person too. So come join those. And then I always like to end with this, and then I'll thank Michelle in a second. But living your best life creates a better world for everyone. And that's the world I want to live in. And I hope it's a world you want to live in. So I just wanted to thank Michelle. I'm very grateful that you came. I'm grateful you stayed on. Apologizing went 10 minutes over because somebody's internet went down in the middle of the show, and I made you repeat. Oh well. So
you did great.
I'm gonna put that on if you want to hang out after for a second. I'm gonna end the show, but I'll just put on Living Your Best Life. So everybody, thank you for coming. Technical problems, whatever. You got to hear Michelle just solo and riff, and I'm sure it was awesome, even though I didn't get to hear it. But she repeated it for me, so haha. Anyway, have a great life out there, ladies and gentlemen.